Watagans. And that's pretty much what went through my head as soon as the car went over and I saw that roof come in. I thought, man, this thing's just totaled. I just thought all that work, all that time, all that money has just come undone. Yeah, that's not where this story started, so let's go back to the beginning. So yeah, we're currently cruising south from our previous adventure. We did all of the stuff around Port Macquarie and Wauchope. So if you haven't seen that, go and check that out because it was bloody awesome. We did some wicked tracks and now we're making our way south to go to the Watagans. I'm currently on my road tyres and then we'll change over to the Mickeys and get locked in. So yeah, we just stepped up to this little short number called Wishing Well. It looks like a fun little climb up out of this hill. And then I think we're gonna set up sort of like a base camp. But yeah, it looks pretty cool. Nice steep little pinch, couple of flexi sections, few rocks. What do you reckon, Burto? It looks like a nice little pinch. It looks like once you take that top off, it's gonna be a little bit greasy underneath.
Yeah, this looks moist, so we're gonna have grease and stuff. And it's probably actually gonna be tricky today, because last time I came here, this was dusty and dry, and I literally idled up it.
Yeah, okay. It looks like quite the pinch. You can't really tell on this iPhone camera, but yeah, it's just a big step.
I'm not much of a bloke, but
it still looks big. And so yeah, first up on this track was Burto, and his car is super low like mine, super capable. He just breezed through the first bit and he got up to the step. But yeah, he had a good send sort of up the middle, and then noticing how wet it was, he sort of tried to take the high spots, right? And so he had a couple of pokes at that. Couldn't get it, and so then he just went around the long way. Then it was my go. All right, this is the bottom of Little Wishing Well, I believe it's called. Or just Wishing Well, maybe.
You good, Tim?
Yeah, I'm good. And so that's pretty hard to watch, but let's talk it through. Seeing how wet it was when Burto did it, I was just like, you know, I'm not gonna get up the main line. I'll just try creeping around the side. And so it was the first attempt and I've just gone way too high. You know, hindsight being 2020, I wish I'd given it a few hard sends just up the guts, which I probably would have made it, you know. It's just one of those things. And so after seeing Burto not getting up the guts, I've sort of peeled around to the left and I've taken a really, really high line, like I should have been probably a foot to the right. And yeah, we all know what happened next. So there's two things that I think contributed to this rollover. One is my line choice. I was way too high up on that wall, which meant by the time I got my front wheels up, if I didn't make it, which I didn't, then that back driver tire is just going to get super, super low, which it did, and then tipped over. The second thing I think that contributed to this rollover was me steering hard lock to the right. It's weird because when you look at the in-cab footage, it looks like I'm steering right a lot more sooner than what it looks like from the front. Like it looks like I'm just lifting a wheel, so I steer right to sort of stabilize it. But then when you're looking at the outside, it looks like I've been lifting the wheel for a long time, and then steering right is what flipped me over. And so yeah, I think they're probably the two things that contributed to this rollover. And so yeah, I can sit here and wonder about what would or wouldn't have happened over and over again, but at the end of the day, I chose a bad line and then I steered wrong and the car went on its lid, and that's what happened. Can I get out?
Yeah, you're not going to go anywhere. You'll literally have no wheels on the ground.
Now, the other thing that happened is I lost my entire gearbox worth of gear oil. When the car went upside down, it filled the roof, the back wall and the cab with gearbox oil. I need to turn my car off. Oh. And so that's why I'm walking around with no shirt on, because I just absolutely smothered myself in gearbox oil. Are we sure that's not going anywhere? And so I had actually stalled the car when I rolled it over, which is a good thing because my keys actually fell out of the ignition, which has been a problem since I've owned the car. And I've always said to myself, I'm going to add a kill switch so that if I roll and the keys fall out and the car stays running, I can kill the motor, which should be really easy to do. All I need to do is add a switch that disconnects 12 volt to the fuel pump solenoid and the car will cut straight off. I don't know if the drone crashed as well. Yeah, it did. I'll go get it. So yeah, I mean, this was the result of that. That sucks a bit, but...
Like, that happened really fast.
Yeah, bloody oath it did.
Like, I didn't think you were rolling until you're already...
Yeah.
Done.
Alright, I'll have to put my winch up to something.
To a tree.
Yeah.
And then we'll just snatch block sideways and you hold yourself.
Yeah, righto. So what are we looking for in gear?
It's just in gear, handbrake on. So
yeah, it's in second and handbrake's on. Cool. And both lockers are on too.
Yeah.
And so we had to come up with a game plan to get this car back on its tyres. And so the first thing we did was I hooked my winch up to a tree that was up in front so that once it got rolled back over, it didn't roll backwards on its own. The second thing we did was run Tyler's winch from a pulley block down to my car to pull it back onto its wheels. The reason Burto is just pulsing it in little intervals is so that you don't just pull it over all in one go, really rough and harsh, right? Because the car can slip and move around and you can do more damage. And so he's just pulsing it so he can see each little movement that happens until we get the car back on its wheels.
You good, Tim? You ready? Yeah, he's good.
So yeah, I don't think I've updated you guys too much just yet, but yeah, chose a bad line. It was my fault. I went too high on the left-hand side and tipped over. I probably should have come up and checked out the line properly, but I just started crawling. And when I binned it too, I had the drone like hovering and the controller must have slid off the seat and crashed the drone as well. So she's a full stitch up. But yeah, we're just working on getting the car back to flat ground now. And then obviously try and get the motor going. I have lost a fair bit of gearbox oil too, like that sort of come dripping off the stick and all over my shoulder, and just a little bit of a shit show. But we'll get it leveled out and see what the plan is sort of long term or even short term really. Like both guards are fine, this whole side's fine. It's literally just like the top of the windscreen and the top of the roof. Where I chopped it and welded it all up at the back wall, that's all held up, which is pretty cool. But yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll get this leveled out. And so once the car was on flat ground, there was two things we had to do. We had to, number one, give it time to drip all the oil back down into the pan. And number two, make sure that there was no oil above the pistons in the combustion chamber. There'll be a 12mm deep and a rattle in the
impact set.
Yeah.
So...
Or just get the rattle if you want, rather than ratcheting them all.
You're a bad boy, you are.
Well, like getting them out will be right, won't it?
Nah.
No, we'll do it with a ratchet then if you reckon.
I just always do, because like you snap one in there, you fuck shag.
Yeah. Where's those vices?
Yeah, we want pointy nose or normal?
Probably those ones. And so then what we did is we pulled each individual glow plug and turned the car over a few times to get all that oil pushed out of the combustion chambers. And so like at this stage, I've obviously got a lot going through my head. I'm 1,200 kilometers from home. I've got hours and hours and hours of work through this thing, not to mention like well into 6 figures of my own money through this thing. It's insured really, really well for all of the modifications and work that's done. And so do I just claim insurance and end the trip and use that insurance to get it all fixed up? Or do I fix it myself so that we can continue wheeling? Because like, I don't get to go away much. I work full time, I do this full time. And so when I'm on a trip like that, I want to be able to wind down and hang with friends and just relax and you know, use that time to go forward driving. And so I don't want to cut a trip short and have to deal with insurance and car repairs and stuff like that. So yeah, I was in a tough spot. I really didn't know what to do. And so all we could really do was get the car running, get it up to where we'd planned to camp, and then sort of talk about what our options were.
There's no oil in there, you're right. That was scary. But he's alright.
That, like, when it happened too, like, his head was heading for that rock.
Yeah.
Sean and Burto, being the kind of guys they are, we got it up to there and they just started working on it. Like, they pulled the windscreen out and Burto got in there and he was able to push out the bit that got kinked. And so once we'd done that, we sort of had a chat and we realized that the damage wasn't actually that bad. Nothing had actually moved that much. The pillars hadn't moved at all. It was just the roof had gone like that a bit. And so, yeah, those boys got in there and kicked it out. It was looking like I was going to be able to get back onto this trip.
Update, Timmy.
Yeah, so we just, well, actually, Sean and Burto's been on the case. I've sort of been a little bit of a mess wondering what to do, obviously. Kinsela's coming down with a trailer to get it down to his shop to maybe, you know, use a porta pack and a hammer and dolly to try and get this a bit nicer to be able to fit a windscreen back in it. It doesn't look too bad. Like, at the end of the day, this car is being retired to, you know, Tasmanian rude crap and Victorian rude crap. So I think once it's home, I'll be able to do a bit more with it, maybe reskin the front half or something. Now, if we can get a windscreen in it, none of the pillars are bent at all. It's just this top outer skin. And so, yeah, if we can get a windscreen back in it and get it home, then I can do more with it for sure.
It's maybe not as bad as what we thought originally. Like, it should be all repairable.
Yeah, 100%. As I've mentioned in my videos before, this is actually a replacement piece across here. Like, this is all cut out of a spare GQ cab that I had. So it'll just be a matter of doing that again, except maybe back to here. And so that's when I called Matt Kinsela and I was like, hey, what are you doing? You know, are you available to sort of bring your car trailer down and come and grab the car? And he was like, yeah, dude, I can be there tonight. And so we organised to do that.
So what's going on anyway?
So Matt's turned up. We're just going to get the GQ onto the trailer to get it back to his shop. And that way I can deal with this, maybe shore it up a bit and then get a windscreen back in it and then we can go on. He turned up pretty late, which is fair enough. You know, he was working all day that day and so he just sort of come down after work. But yeah, we got the car up onto the car trailer. Don't roll it. Don't roll it.
Don't roll it. Oh, I've rolled it. Forward and left to me a little bit. Yeah, that'll do you probably. Ask to start to spot then. Done.
Got the GQ all loaded up and we're just going to get her all tied down and sort of make our way out of here, I think. I pretty much posted all this on Instagram straight away because I know what happens. People know you've done it, you know, within a couple of hours of doing it. Everyone was really, really good, right? All the jokes that got made about mine, you could tell it was all in good spirit. There was no one that was saying anything nasty out of malice or anything like that. Everyone was wicked, the jokes were funny, and it was my fault at the end of the day. And so I could just have a laugh at myself, have a laugh at the jokes, and get on with it. It was really, really cool. Even the people that did have a laugh about it or posted, you know, you can't park there, that sort of thing, they also like reached out to me too to make sure that I was all right, to make sure the car was all right. And overall, it was just a good experience. Everyone was, yeah, wicked about it, and I really appreciate that. When something like that happens, you've got to be able to have a laugh about it and a laugh at yourself. All right, so Matt just picked me up and we've just made it to his shop. So this is his shop here, Kinsela Kustoms. And I think we're gonna just leave the GQ here overnight and we're gonna go back and stay at Matt's house. And then in the morning, I can come back here and get the cab prepared to chuck a new windscreen in it so I can do the rest of this trip and then make my way home safely type thing. All right, so a bit of an update. I've come into Matt's this morning and just sort of had a look, been bashing around, got this windscreen area nice and square again. The good news is the pillar's fine. It's just that top section across the top of the windscreen, which I'm just shoring up now. And like dead set, this windscreen looks absolutely fine. I just had to straighten up a little bit up in there, straighten up a little bit up in there. And so I'll be able to get a windscreen back in this Friday, which today's Wednesday. So yeah, I've got today to sort this. And then tomorrow, you know, I might just bum around here if Matt needs a hand with something. You know, I can do that. Yeah, get this girl back on the road, back on the trip. He was nice enough to let me stay at his house for a few nights while we got the car sorted and waited for a windscreen to be able to be installed. Like, I was obviously stressed about getting the car sorted and that. We just hung out. I read books for his daughter and we watched YouTube and I did a bit of editing and stuff like that. And it was just a really good time. It was cool to wind down and relax after something like that happening. It's been a pretty big day here. I managed to get all the outside ready to get a windscreen. I've put a measuring tape from the top to the bottom, both sides, and it's exactly the same height. It's like 364, I think. And I've put a measuring tape like across the diagonals of the windscreen, and it's square on all sides. And that'll get me a windscreen in and the ability to get home at least. But yeah, massive thanks to Matt for letting me use this space. A massive thanks to Lewis for giving me a hand this morning with the porta pack and that. I didn't get a lot of footage of it because I was just like, you know, getting it done, but I'll be able to get a windscreen in on Friday. It only took me a day to sort the car. I didn't get any footage of that, unfortunately, but they've got like a porta power that is essentially like a big shock absorber that you plug into air, and it's a ram that pushes like that. And so all you do is like wedge it into different places on the floor, different places on the roof in order to get it all pushed out. And so yeah, I spent the morning on that. And then where a couple of the spot welds had broken, I re-spot welded all that and got it all neatened up, sanded flat so that we could get a windscreen back into it. Just behind Matt's shop, there is a hill climb that they've got because, you know, they build like heavily modified four-wheel drives there. And so, you know, all they need to do is go through the backyard and then there's this wicked hill climb just there and they can test everything that they build. And so we had a day to kill while we were waiting for the windscreen to go in. And so I thought I'd get the monkey off my back and I took the GQ down there just to sort of get the feel of it again. I don't know about other people, but when I rolled, it took me a while to trust angles and stuff again. It just shook me up a bit and it took me a while to get my mojo back. But yeah, that was a cool little hill climb. It's actually the first time I'd had a chance to wheel with Matt, and so it was cool to see him spot and get me through this hill.
How's the vision?
Yeah, good.
It's nice to talk to you. That front's gonna pop up. Just keep coming around.
But yeah, that was a cool little hill climb. It was good to lift a wheel and get back on some rude angles and just feel out the car again. Probably understandably, I don't know if any of you guys have rolled out there before. Even after I got back onto my trip and went to Lithgow with Tyler, it did take me a while to get my mojo back. Just an FYI too, that trailer there is for hire, so you can actually hire that. I'll put the number up on the screen, and it is wide enough for, you know, GU diffs, and we still had room. So like if you're in the Sydney or Lithgow or, you know, all those wheeling places around Sydney and you need a trailer, you can come and grab that and hire it. But yeah, windscreen man is going to be here today, and we're going to get this windscreen back in. I'll get the car packed up, do a quick shop, and then I'll meet Tyler out at Lithgow, and then we're going to go wheeling for a few days. And then once we're done, Matt's going to come meet up with me, and then we're going to head south towards Yarwool to do some more wheeling. But yeah, again, a huge thanks to Kinsela for having me, helping me out, you know, lending me one of the guys to show me how to use the porta pack, and, you know, lending me the welder and everything I needed to get sorted. He also let me stay at his place for a couple of nights. So Matt Kinsela has obviously been around for a long time. You know, he was on early four-wheel drive action episodes and whatnot, but just recently he started up a YouTube while he's been building his Range Rover chassis with a 60 body. And so if you want to check that out, I'll put his channel up here, and there's a link in the description too. We'd organised a fella to come and put a windscreen in, and so we got the windscreen back in, and then I could pack up the car and get back to Tyler to continue my trip. It was honestly bound to happen sooner or later. With how much hard driving I do, you're gonna put a car on its side or its roof eventually. So I'm glad that it happened in a nice, slow and controlled, safe way. I don't know what my long-term plan is with it yet. It is being retired to just, you know, stuff in Tassie and stuff in Victoria. I am gonna have the GU on the road soon, once all that gets engineered and sorted and finished. And so, you know, this isn't a show car. It doesn't need to look amazing. I think the dent is kind of cool. It tells a story. But yeah, my mainland adventure is not over yet. Next up, I hit up Nunes with Tyler in the Lithgow area, and we do all of the hard tracks that they have to offer. And so yeah, if you did enjoy this, please leave a thumbs up. And if you want to see more, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.